Oh, okay. So I found something wild this week about LLMs building worlds.
AI, machine learning, developer tools, and tech infrastructure. Let's dive in.
Andrej Karpathy just dropped a tweet that broke my brain about Opus 5.
Karpathy is testing the limits of what LLMs can actually build, not just text.
He gave Opus 5 a prompt and a budget, and it went for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, no training needed, just raw stamina to churn out code.
Wait, so it actually wrote a working game? Or just text?
It wrote 5,500 lines of JavaScript to procedurally render the Lord of the Rings first paragraph.
5,000 lines. In 2 hours. That's insane throughput.
But here's the kicker, it cost about $10 in API calls for that effort.
$10 for 5,000 lines of code? That's cheaper than a coffee.
Exactly, and it placed polygon assets in X, Y, Z coordinates without human help.
So it's not just generating text anymore, it's orchestrating geometry?
Yes, it's animating characters and environments via code, purely from a text prompt.
But isn't that what SVG Pelicans were for? Testing basic capabilities?
Karpathy says we're leaving that territory. This is about narrative scale now.
So the prompt was just the first paragraph of LLOTR? That's it?
Just that, and Opus 5 decided to render the whole story, not just an image.
It went off for 2 hours and didn't stop until it was done?
Right, it had a 1M token budget, so it burned through it generating the world.
And the result? Was it actually playable? Or just a visual mess?
Karpathy calls it janky but fun. It's not polished, but it works.
Janky means broken geometry? Or just weird logic in the code?
Both. The assets are placed correctly, but the animation has glitches.
So it's like a rough draft of a video game that someone else would polish.
More like a prototype where no human would ever spend the time to fix bugs.
Because who has 2 hours to debug procedural world generation?
No one. But the LLM doesn't get tired. It has infinite patience for this.
So the value isn't the quality, it's the sheer volume of custom content possible?
Exactly. We're moving from no one would do this to sure, why not?
Karpathy mentions ephemeral GTA. What does that mean in this context?
On demand worlds you can drop into as a spectator or NPC for the story.
Like a live event that only exists while the LLM is running?
Yes, once the budget runs out, the world disappears. It's temporary.
That's terrifying and amazing at the same time.
It exposes a weakness, though. The LLM can't see its own work well.
Why? Can't it just look at the rendered frames?
Not efficiently. It had to take screenshots manually to audit progress.
So it's blind to its own mistakes until it forces itself to check?
Precisely. It messed up a few times because it lacks native video perception.
That's the bottleneck. Text out but no text in for visual feedback.
Right, it's generating code based on text, but can't verify via vision natively.
So we need better multimodal loops to catch these jank errors automatically.
Yes, raw capability is there, but the feedback loop is painful and slow.
Does this mean LLMs are becoming game engines now?
Not yet, but they're becoming powerful level designers.
Level designers who work for $10 and never sleep?
That's the current state. It's janky, but it's scalable.
So the future is hyper-custom worlds generated on demand?
Karpathy is excited about that potential. Spectator NPCs and live stories.
Imagine dropping into a LLOTR world as a random background character.
Exactly, and the world exists only for as long as you pay for it.
It's like a rental car for narrative experiences.
Yeah, very specific metaphor, but yes, it highlights the ephemeral nature.
But will the jank ever go away? Or is it inherent to LLMs?
Until they get better video perception, yes, they'll always need audit loops.
So the limitation isn't intelligence, it's sensory input.
Correct. They can think the code, but they can't see the result easily.
That's a huge gap in the pipeline for autonomous game dev.
It is. It's the difference between writing and directing a movie.
So Opus 5 is the writer. We're waiting on the director tools.
Exactly. The writing is getting better, the directing is still lagging.
But even with Jank, it's free and fast. That changes everything.
It opens up possibilities no studio could afford to prototype manually.
So we're seeing the dawn of instant custom game worlds?
We are. It's early, but the trajectory is clear and undeniable.
All right, that's all we got this week on LLM world building.
If this blew your mind, come back next time, we'll probably break it again.
Subscribe to Locally Hosted for more deep dives into the future.
Original source is linked in the description. See you then.